There's a decision thousands of women make every year that costs them money for the rest of their lives. And the worst part, they don't realize the damage until years later, when the numbers are already locked in. That decision is filing for Social Security before their husband does. Not because filing early is always wrong, but because what happens between the day you file and the day he files, that gap, works completely differently from what most people expect. And almost nobody explains it clearly before you're already in it. Here's the belief. You need income. You're 62. Your husband is still working. Maybe he's 60. Maybe he's 63. Maybe he just wants to wait. So you file. And you think, okay, I'll get my benefit now. And when he files later, the spousal piece will kick in and bring me up to that 50% everyone talks about. That is not how it works. When you file for your own benefit at 62 and your husband hasn't filed yet, you get your benefit. Period. Just yours. Reduced. And you will stay on that reduced amount alone until the day he decides to claim his own Social Security. There is no spousal add-on available to you until he is actively collecting. That's not a technicality. That's the rule. He has to be receiving his benefit before any spousal portion can flow to you. And this is where the planning gap hits hardest. Because depending on your age difference and his plans, you could be living on your reduced benefit for 2 years. 5 years. In some cases, 8 years. Just your own. Nothing extra. No top-up. No spousal piece. Just the smaller check you locked in at 62. Now, why does this matter so much? Because the amount you receive at 62 is not a temporary number. When you file 5 years before your full retirement age, your own benefit takes a permanent reduction. If your full retirement age benefit would have been $800 a month, filing at 62 drops that to roughly $560. That's a 30% cut that stays with you forever. So during the years you're waiting for your husband to file, $560 a month is all you get. Not $800. Not something close to $800. $560. Every month. For years. And I'm not saying this to scare you. I'm saying it because too many women walk into this situation thinking the spousal benefit is working in the background somehow, that it's accumulating, or that it'll be waiting for them in full when the time comes. It doesn't work like that. Let me walk you through exactly what happens when the pieces finally come together, because this is the part most people never see clearly. Let's say your full retirement age benefit, your PIA, is $800. Your husband's PIA is $2,400. Half of his PIA is $1,200. Since your $800 is less than $1,200, you qualify for a spousal top-up. That top-up is the difference, $400. Now, you filed at 62. Your $800 got reduced to $560. That reduction is permanent. It's done. But here's what catches people. When your husband finally files and the spousal piece activates, the reduction on that spousal portion depends on how old you are at that moment, not how old you were when you filed for your own benefit. Those are two separate calculations. Let me say that again. Your own benefit was reduced based on the age you filed. Your spousal benefit is reduced based on the age you become entitled to it, which is the age you are when your husband files. This creates completely different outcomes depending on his timing. Scenario 1. You file at 62. Your husband files when you're 67, your full retirement age. Your own benefit stays at $560. It was locked in. But your spousal top-up of $400 has no early filing reduction because you're at full retirement age when it kicks in. So your total monthly check becomes $960. Not bad. Not the full $1,200. But a real number you can plan around. Scenario 2. You file at 62. Your husband files when you're 64. Now your own benefit is still $560, but the spousal piece, the $400, gets its own reduction because you're 3 years early on that component. The spousal reduction uses a different formula. For the first 36 months before full retirement age, it's 25/36 of 1% per month. That brings your $400 spousal top-up down to roughly $300. Your total monthly check, around $860. That's $100 less per month than scenario 1. Over 20 years of retirement, that's $24,000 because he filed 3 years earlier. Scenario 3, you file at 62. Your husband doesn't file until you're 70. Your own benefit is still $560. No delayed retirement credits apply because you already claimed at 62. But the spousal piece? No reduction at all. Full $400. Total, $960. Same as scenario 1. Why? Because the spousal benefit maxes out at full retirement age. Waiting past 67 doesn't grow it. So whether he files when you're 67 or 70, your spousal add-on is the same. And that right there is one of the most misunderstood parts of this system. Delayed retirement credits, that 8% per year boost you get for waiting past full retirement age, those only apply to your own retirement benefit. They do not apply to the spousal top-up. That piece caps at full retirement age and stays there. So if you're counting on the spousal portion to grow while you or your husband delay, it won't. It's already at its ceiling. Now let me address the question I know some of you are asking. What if I haven't filed yet and my husband hasn't filed yet? Can I just file for the spousal benefit alone and wait on mine? No, not anymore. Before 2016, there were strategies that allowed that kind of flexibility. One spouse could file and suspend. The other could collect spousal benefits while their own benefit grew. That door closed. What exists now is called deemed filing. The moment you apply for Social Security, you are automatically considered to have applied for every benefit you're eligible for. If your husband is already collecting, Social Security calculates both your own benefit and the spousal portion and pays you the combination that produces the higher amount. You don't choose one and switch later. It's automatic. It's permanent. The one exception, and please hear this clearly, is survivor benefits. If your spouse passes away, survivor benefits follow a completely different set of rules. You can claim one benefit now and switch later. That flexibility still exists. But it only applies to survivors, not to regular spousal benefits while both spouses are alive. Do not confuse the two. People confuse them all the time, and it leads to decisions they can't undo. So what does all this mean in practice? It means the gap between when you file and when your husband files isn't just a waiting period. It's a financial equation with permanent consequences. If you file at 62 and he's not going to file for another 5 years, you need to understand that you're going to live on your reduced personal benefit alone for those 5 years. No spousal add-on, no boost, just your check. And then when the spousal piece finally arrives, its reduction depends on your age at that moment. The earlier he files, the earlier you get the spousal piece, but the bigger the reduction on it. The later he files, the longer you wait, but the less that spousal portion gets cut. Here's something else worth knowing. The timing issue gets sharper when there's an age gap. If your husband is younger than you, say you're 62 and he's 58, he can't even file for Social Security until he turns 62. That's 4 years minimum before the spousal benefit becomes available. And if he plans to wait until 67 for his full benefit, you're looking at 9 years on your own reduced check. 9 years. On the other hand, if he's older and already collecting, you can file at 62 and both pieces activate immediately. Your own benefit and the spousal portion start at the same time, both reduced, both permanent. But at least there's no gap. I know this can feel like a lot of moving pieces, but once you see the structure, that there are 2 separate benefits reduced by 2 separate formulas, activated at 2 separate moments, the planning starts to make sense. So before you file, answer 3 questions. First, when does your husband plan to claim? Not a vague idea, an actual age, because his decision directly changes your monthly number. Second, what is your PIA and what is his? Go to ssa.gov, create your account, look at the estimate at full retirement age. That's the number that matters. Third, how old will you be when he files? Because that age determines how much your spousal portion gets reduced. If you answer those 3 questions honestly, you will see the real math, not the version people assume. the actual dollars you'll receive every month. The mistake most women make is not filing early. Some women need to file early, and that's okay. The mistake is not understanding the gap, not knowing that the spousal piece doesn't exist until he files, not realizing that your age at that moment, not the age you first walked into the Social Security office, controls the reduction on that portion. This is your money, and the system will not explain this to you. Not on the website, not in the brochure, not in the waiting room. If you don't ask the right questions, you will get the default answers, and the default answers leave money on the table. If this cleared up something you've been confused about, or changed how you're thinking about your timeline, hit the like button. It genuinely helps more women find these videos. And if you're not subscribed yet, subscribe. Every week, I break down the retirement strategies that matter most for women planning on their own terms. I'll see you in the next one.